Hello and welcome to this edition of the Artstation review. This is episode 4, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about the amount of time that you put into your work and also some kind of little things that I've seen cropping up on Artstation. Now, we kind of want Artstation to be the best of the best stuff, but also your most competent stuff. And lately on the marketplace, I've seen some rushed bits of work and just submitted on there for next to nothing. I'm not going to look into them because at face value there's nothing really happening here, and this is a complete clog up to the marketplace where people are looking to make good money for hard work, dedicated time. And I know that I've got a couple of things on this marketplace that I really want to be seen and not kind of clogged up by things just thrown up there for next to nothing. So this is a little bit of what I'm going to cover in this video, and it's all about how much time you put into work and whether you're proud of it or you're just doing things because you can. Artstation has pretty much no filter process for putting things up there, and it's left to the users to sift through that work and find things that they like. And it's a little bit of a shame for people that are really looking for talent. Or people looking for inspiration. They get held up by things that are still work in progress and so on. So if you think Artstation really needs some kind of filter method or a voting system for art pieces, whether it should be an upvote, downvote, or something else, let me know. Let me know in the comments what you think should be a nice process, and maybe I can get in touch with someone in Artstation high up and speak to them nicely, because in the day someone's got to take some kind of responsibility. And if these guys are just making money through pro accounts and some marketplace stuff and not really kind of upkeeping the place, I think it's maybe time it has some kind of upkeep, because it's getting quite big and busy now. So I'm going to use Photoshop here to do a little bit of a draw over of some things I want to talk about. But in the meantime, while that loads, I want to show you this. Now, you've probably seen this kicking about the internet. It's a guy that does a 10-minute drawing of a Spider-Man, then a 1 minute, then a 10 seconds. And this is kind of relatively proportional to the amount of time you put into your work. So if you spend 1 minute on something, you're not going to get anywhere as near as what you would get if you spent 10 minutes on something. And that's the point here. He even throws in a 10-second roughly one to show you what you get if you rush your work. You just create something, throw it up there, maybe for a test case. Yeah, you're just testing that your submission went through and so on. But people don't want to see that all the time. If they see it once, they'll be like, okay, that's probably a test. And if you label it test, that's polite, right? So there we go, there's 10 minutes, and that's pretty decent, pretty decent Spider-Man by my standards for 10 minutes. And the 1 minute, and then the 10, well, it's actually 12 seconds. But this is what you see, right? So let's just look at Artstation and look at some examples on latest. I'm going to skip the marketplace completely because I'm going to cover that in a different topic. But so here's a quick little thumbnail of a boot. So lucky you get to be on this video. This is Ashley Corbett. So I'm not gonna hide any names. If you want to name and shame, then that's fine. I'm not acting as some kind of filter. I'm just gonna click on things, and that doesn't even want to click on it for some reason. Okay, why is that? Can I click on this? Yeah, I can click on that. Maybe just a little. Oh, okay. So quick little doodles. Person might be young, submitting their first work to Artstation for a long time, and same kind of different styles boots. Let's see, practice thumbnails. Alright, they've said it's practice. That's cool. Maybe there should be a practice zone. Maybe we can vote these things into a different area so that they don't sit in latest. Maybe latest is designed to show anything that we want. To have a filter process in latest would be pretty ridiculous, right? And there's no kind of algorithm that can detect anything. But here we go. So I'm going to open up Photoshop, and me being a kind of middle of the range artist, I'm not spectacular or anything movie quality, but I do some pretty decent stuff day in and day out, and I also teach game art at the local university a day a week. So I kind of know little bits about workflows and game engines, and a process for making characters and things. Let's move that there, that's confusing me. Put that there. I've just been reorganizing this too much. Right, so I'm going to add a little doodle here, and let's say, so this line, right, took like half a second to create. 3 lines takes a second to create, and those lines take what, 3, 4, 5 seconds to create, right? So that's the principle of taking more time with your work. Now, if I was to submit this, I'm going to submit that, right? Submit. And people are going to be like, that's boring. There's nothing really to it. You know, there's this straight line. I'll submit this. Okay, there's 3 parallel lines. Still boring. It's just 3 of the same. I submit this. It's going to get a bit more attention. People might be like, oh, it kind of looks like seahorse, right? Or something. It doesn't look like a seahorse. I don't know what it looks like, but why don't I turn this into something? You know, why don't I keep going? So some people, they tend to stop. They tend to stop here, right, and think that's it. That's all they're going to do. They're going to submit it for sure. The ones that submit these doodles, just forget them, right? But as we go, so the way I like to work is progressive. Then you would take this, right, and if you're just creating something out of nothing, then start this way by all means. Like just oops, take that, right? So yeah, I started with practically nothing. I want to turn this into something that kind of looks like a figure, kind of body, right? Okay, I'm gonna keep going with that. I'll make a character, right? And I might get lost and be like, I don't know what way the arm goes here. Alright, I've had a little bit of practice. I kind of know a little bit of anatomy, but I have looked at like reference quite a lot and seen shapes that, you know, are familiar over time. So you gain this muscle memory. So muscle memory, right? Muscle memory. Right, and instead of just thinking that your brain, right, is full of all the information of the universe and thinking all you have to do is just like tap into it and get it out, like almost like you're trying to what is it, you go welling, you know, the dwelling rods, when you sort of detect water and then you sort of unleash the water, right? Some people think the brain's like that when they're starting art. They think, okay, the amazing art is in there somewhere, right? And all they have to do is, I don't know, just come up with something, some doodles, and eventually that amazing art will come out. It doesn't work that way. You need muscle memory. You need to do your reference. So if I was going to do like a character, I'd go straight on Pinterest or get inspiration from other artists, you know, and you can kind of like trace stuff if you like a pose. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of tracing poses, but you're not completely copying the work. So I could take something like this, right? I'm going to copy that image, and I'm not condoning anything bad here, but what I'm saying is take something like that, right? Now I've seen a couple of students do this just instinctively, like they can't get a pose right and they're like, how do I get a pose? And I'm like, well, find some reference. So they'll just grab the picture and they'll literally just kind of trace over it and go like hips, knee, right, foot, knee, that foot there, right, and then okay, and then the hand, right? You're not going to take any more than that from someone else's work, right? That's all you want. Just ditch it, forget about it, right? Now we get this. So forget that whole image. I've got rid of it. I only copied and pasted it. I've not downloaded the file or nothing. This is what I've got. I want to forget that image that I've seen and make up my own thing, right? This only took about 10 seconds to make. So what I want to do is turn this 10 seconds into at least 10 hours, right? At least 10 hours. Don't spend any less than 10 hours on something that you want to put in a folio. Some people will say more, right? More than 10 hours. Fair enough, right? But I mean, I'm talking about newcomers. I'm talking about people that are like, they've still to make the first thing, their folio, and they've not spent much time in it. Alright, 10 hours might not be enough for making anything good. If you're new to 3D modelling or drawing or anything like that, then spend way more than 10 hours. In fact, spend what they say is 10,000 hours. Right, but you can't get 10,000 hours in a day, so have patience. Oops, I can't spell it because I've got no patience. Right, patience. Patience. It's like the science of patience is So each day, right, if you take each day 1 hour, so, and there's 365 days in a year, and let's say at a weekend you can spend plus 4 hours in a weekend, so that's 4 times 53. Let's just do the calc. What's about? It's 212. Okay, and an hour each day is 365. Let's add them up. That's 577, right? So 577 hours a year practicing, and 10,000 hours basically gets you to the point where you'll get good enough to be so skilled in that field, right? 577 hours, you basically have to multiply that by, let's see, 10,000 divided by 577. So that's like 17 years to get like professional. And that's actually not far off. I started modeling in 1998, right? And it's now 2019, so that's practically 21 years. 21 years, and I have been in the industry for about, let's see, since 2012. So it's taken me 14 years. So I've been pretty quick in terms of this, right? It took me 14 years to become professional, right? So don't expect everything to work right away, but don't submit your work in a field of professionals, because it won't make you better. It will just make you it'll give you a negative energy, because you're trying to fit into a field of masters. You know, if I was to bring that image back, you're basically submitting stuff like this and amongst this, and it's only gonna, you know, affect you in a way that I'm never gonna get noticed with this. Okay. Plus, if they see that you've actually copied this form, they'll just point you out and go, you just like copied something. So with this kind of thing, first thing you want to do is reverse it, right? Then you might want to do something like, I'm going to change something just to make it a little bit more unique. I'm going to move the arm, rotate the arm here, right? And I'm also going to move the upper body, right? Because you want to make it yours. You want to make it your style. So the more you do with it, the more it becomes yours. The less you do with it, the more it's just average and mundane type stuff. So do that, and it could be like a little guy dancing. I'm going to change the head here, and you see the way I make a head is just like an egg shape, and then I just draw like an eye line, and immediately, you know, you get the idea that he's looking at something. Could be a selfie, right? Selfie. So who could have like his umbrella out and singing in the rain, and you make a piece like that, right? Some people just don't have the patience to keep going with it, and what you got to do is find reference, which builds up your muscle memory, and inspiration, right? Inspiration, which that will help you with style and shape. Language is what I like to call it. Shape language is like the profiles of things. Is everything rounded? Are things got angles to them? Is there a certain pattern? Is there little lines and lights? The color palette and things like that. In fact, color is its own thing, but you've also got like color, right? Anyway, shape language, style, shape language, they all kind of include color, right? So, so something like this I've not spent long on, but you can see I'm starting to add to it. I'm refining it. I'm making it my own. I might want hair in there, and this is like a planning stage. Okay, and I might be like, I'm kind of lost. I want to have a kind of blouse, so I might go like 50s blouse, and then image, and like this kind of thing. Okay, so there's reference. I'm just going to copy the image. Just copy image. Paste. And this is called referencing. This isn't called copying and cheating. It's not like, you're at your high school exam or something and you're copying someone's work and you're learning nothing. From this, I'm learning a lot of things because I need to kind of study this image. I'm not just placing it there and leaving it. I'm having to redraw it, and I could also like trace over like here to get an idea of the shape. Go, okay, there's a kind of collar thing here. It's a little bit of the neck exposed down to a point. I need to think about the angle of things because it's a different angle. I'll have this coming in here, and that goes down there. There'll be a few folds here, and like that. I could think about the hairstyle being short and kind of bobbed up with the fringe. Okay, it's a little bit messy again, so I'm just going to erase some of these lines. I'm actually drawing in the wrong layer, that's good. Often happens, so I'll just merge down and then cut this back out. Right, so it should be here, lock that layer. Right, so you eventually build this up to the point where you spend at least, you know, I say at least an hour, 1 hour just on planning. At least 1 hour on planning, right? So that's reference, and sketch, right? And just an hour on that minimum, at least. Can't really draw, all right. So just kind of got a scut there. Now this pose isn't really working with the leg up there, so I'm gonna. So already I'm refining it and making it more, but I could do something like this. Is it stretched and kind of look at that tippy toe. This might be more kind of flat like that on the ground to hold the weight. And already this is looking more unique, right? It's way more unique than this, right? But I've taken some inspiration. Now, other inspiration I can take for this is the nice color palette. So I'll sample some colors here. I'm going to take the dark, the mediums, and the lights of each color tone. Should give credit to this person. This is Danielle Yee, so I'm just going to like and follow. Danielle Yee, that's whose work that is. Oh, I wonder if there's a breakdown. There we go, there's the kind of sketch and things. This is 2D, so you see the line art's been refined. Now to get to this level of line art, you start with the sketch. It doesn't just get drawn as line art. It's not. Some people think that the speed they took to look at something is the speed it took to make it, literally. Okay, take that literally. So it took me what, 3 seconds to look at that, and people are like, God, that took like 3 seconds to make. No, it's not that literal, right? It's just silly. If you look at breakdowns, right, not car breakdowns, but if you look at breakdowns of something like anything really, there's a, I think this is a 2D breakdown. Okay, that's not so much of a breakdown, but it's more of progressive. Let's see this one. Okay, they started with these shapes and things. That's more of a working than a breakdown, but that looks awesome, right? Breakdowns can be good. I don't really know any off the top of my head, but if you have a look at a breakdown, this one. Okay, so different reference and things. Color concept, the modeling, texturing. Okay, 2D concept, 3D render. You can see the difference there. Okay, stylized hair, looks wicked. Awesome. And this is like all the different processes that it's taken to make something. So already, you know, you can dig quite deep with this. Look at all the different materials being tried. Skin shaders. You can see like how they've made certain reflection materials. So breakdowns are really good because you get to see different ways that things are made. You know, making stylized hair and different banding. For 2D stuff, let's see 2D illustration, time-lapse. Let's go for digital inking maybe. Yeah, so they start with a rough sketch and then they go over and get their line work. So line art comes from sketches and usually different iterations of sketches. So if I go back to this one, let's get rid of these notes and things, right? And then I'm going to do a draw over, so I'll invert that to make it darker. So I'm not by any means a great 2D artist, but I know the fundamentals, the workflow, right? So I might want to take my time a bit more and get at least some kind of shape in here, but I should be using more reference, right? Got the fringe there, maybe the ear showing. It's going to bund up. I won't draw the eyes in just yet. And try avoid doing too many lines for a shape, because that breaks the continuity of things. Try just do like one shape and try go for like SCs and kind of nice curvy shapes. If you don't know how something is supposed to look, just leave it until you get reference, or use your own, use your own hand, take a photo of something. So I know roughly the fingers are this way and the sides there, but anyway, I'll do more of that later. The umbrella I can leave, put a little belt in here, and then skirt. What way does the skirt go? Does it go this way? Does it go that way? So if the leg's coming towards, it's going to go that way because it's lifting the skirt, up like here. The knee could be here, and maybe the knee would be more to one side. Okay, I'll leave the foot because I'm not too sure yet. Skirt did that, and then okay. Right, it's hard to see with all these lines, so now I get rid of this. Maybe I want to keep it a bit, just to make it more faint, and carry on a bit here. What kind of shoes she might be wearing, and is this touching the ground? This all looks a bit weird now, so I can easily go in and just select it. So don't erase, just move things around. Move things around, then fix things up later. So I'm going to move that there, and now this foot looks silly. So you're never going to get it right first time, so it takes a while, and then reverse it. I can reverse the document here, image, flip horizontal. It's a good way of getting a different different eye for things. Maybe I don't like this anymore. Maybe she's got her hand up in her face, something. Okay, it looks like she's doing something else. But yeah. So this is where you would use reference eventually, because I'm at the point where I've got a rough idea of how everything goes. I'm actually going to make this like shorter and so on. But the point is that what you don't know, right? That's the famous saying. What you don't know, but you have to find out. And if you can't be bothered looking at reference, you just want to rush on and do this because you think you think you might lose momentum, right? You're like, you've got this energy for making this thing, but it's rushed energy. If you think of it, it's all rushed energy until you get the right information. It's all kind of spontaneity. It's all using my instinct, but you need to build up this instinct, you know, to see what's right and what's wrong, because you'll be like, something's not right with this and I don't know what it is. You're thinking, I don't know what's wrong with it, basically. You know, I don't know what's wrong with it because I don't know what's right. So find reference, even if it's like something simple like manga characters, drawing outline, and you get these nice structures, right? They're just, you know, someone try to make one, but you get stuff like this, right? And it just gives you the sense of structure. I'm not saying copy these proportions and things. I'm saying like that's the kind of thinking behind it. The way you tend to see these things drawn, as they have these kind of different, you know, breakdowns. These cylinders, the spheres, the sort of rounded cuboids to help build the shape up, and some nice poses. You know, you've got a little bit of perspective in here as well. Kind of dynamic shapes. So these kind of things I think are good for getting a nice shape of things. So I might not like it, but I'm not gonna start again. I'm gonna say, right, that's roughly the kind of pose I want. Then I could go and I'll bring that in, put that down in, and get reference, and eventually make this into something. Even make it into a guy if I wanted. So the guy would have a more rigid sort of structure, maybe bigger shoulders, more square jaw, broader up here. He would have his, you know, his pants. Maybe like holding his jacket. Right, and eventually you're going to go into colour and all these things, but colour you're going to leave to the end, and by all means experiment with colour just as much as you experiment with the process here, but don't just submit that and think, awesome. And you might be like, oh, what I've drawn there is better than what you could do, but bear in mind it's taken me at least 14 years it actually took to make that, when you think about it. You know, you might look at it and go, no, it took him 5 minutes to make it, but it took 14 years to get that good. You know, it took 14 years to get the confidence and some shapes right, and even still I'm like, there's loads wrong with this. This is just a doodle, right? And the more you draw, the more you refine. So more time in the long run. I'm just going to tell you, like, everything that you need reference, right? And then you could study reference. Study. So you do drawings, like copy, but not trace, right? Try not to trace, try copy if possible, right? You need reference to study. You need anatomy for characters, so like muscles, proportions, just to get an idea of shape. You need inspiration, you know, get inspired by great work. My writing's terrible, sorry. And you need time, right? Time. Now you got long term, your long-term knowledge, right? That's like your muscle memory. from anything you've studied or any characters you've looked at or drawn, you'll gain this muscle memory. And you've got the short term is how much time you spend on your actual piece. So time spent on a piece. Now I'll go back to Artstation, right, and I'm just going to look at my own one and I'll tell you roughly how long I spent on each piece. Right, so this one took a while because I had other work. I had other work going on, and this was sculpted within about a week. I actually got someone else to sculpt it because I was so busy, so I paid them to sculpt it. Then I textured it, done all the texture baking, the low poly mesh, rigged it and got it ready for animation. That whole process took a couple of weeks. So that's 3 weeks already just in this base. I also made up this kind of environment really quick as a little tutorial to place them on, and that was just a quick video. And eventually I made like a armor for him, made a shader that did all this paint and stuff, rigged, animated, and that whole process must have took a couple of months, you know, from start to finish. And now this is on the marketplace, and instead of just doing some really quick and releasing it, you know, spend more time on it. This is probably one thing that I've spent more time on, and it gets, you know, it gets a few more likes and a few more views and things. And I know things that are wrong with it, you know, looking at it now I can see that some of these materials are wrong and things like that. They'll detract people from looking at your work. They've just got, they've not spent enough time getting these materials right. And yeah, you do get tired of working on the same thing. You do want to progress in some other areas, but I'm more inclined to finish things to a higher standard now, because if you don't finish things, then it's not finished, right? And people are waiting on the finished product. So it looks like work in progress, you know, but I kind of rounded off work in progress. It's like, okay, this is work in progress, but it's finished. And I'll be like, okay, is that the standard they're going to? What's their other work like? So this other piece is taking a long time to make, and I'm still working on it. So this is actually a work in progress. And I've not actually written it's work in progress, so this tells me that I'm proud of it as it is and I want to leave it. I shouldn't do that, because that's made me kind of close the case, right? It's like if you're a detective and you're like, oh well, there was this murder scene and someone did the murder, case closed, right? You've not investigated who did it and how they did it and their past and the victim and all these things, right? These are all the kind of details that people like to know, because then they learn from them, right? And there's no breakdown of this. I've not done very much, so these kind of things I'm going to end up getting rid of as I progress. And I've already got rid of stuff that I'm not kind of content with, and you know, I put some little kind of sketch things up now and again, and it's just like, okay, they were cool at the time, but now I'm like, and a lot of people will feel that way. My folio will probably get a glance at now and again, but to be fair, I do such a broad range of work that this doesn't really concern me. I just want some stuff up there just in case I might have missed a chance to broadcast myself or anything that I've been making that might catch someone's eye, or not necessarily looking for feedback, but I just want people to know my name and the kind of stuff that I make, right? That's cool. It's okay stuff. It's not like high level amazing, because if you look at the the Artstation latest, right, and you compare that with trending, so trending's the stuff that gets liked and upvoted, right? People like this kind of stuff. You know, a long time is spent making all this hair, right? Days and days and days and days just in the hair, right? And then a long time spent making the texture for the face. A long time spent looking at reference, getting the shape and everything right. And you know, this guy also does a lot of videos and stuff, so check him out. You know, this one here, there's no breakdown of it, but you can imagine this would have been initially a very loose sketch, and then eventually get into the colour stage. It doesn't immediately just show up, right? It's not just they just grab a brush and just start going and that's it, they're amazing. Yeah, they've got a lot of knowledge and muscle memory, but they still have to go through the process of sketching, changing proportions, making sure the layout's good. Before they even think about adding colour, in most cases, you'll see a lot of groundwork covered. And that's the kind of things I'm trying to say, is that if you look at YouTube and do like a 2D sketch time-lapse, right? Time-lapse. Now, time-lapses are great because you see the full process. So there we go, there's a perfect one. In fact, I recommend subscribing to this guy's channel. He does great character stuff. Alright, he's got great proportions from the outset, but that's from the muscle memory, from looking at loads of reference. He might have reference in his other monitor as well that we don't get to see, so you need to assume reference has been used in at least one occasion, and whether he's built up the muscle memory or not is completely irrelevant, I guess, because yeah, he's got all that knowledge of all the stuff he's looked at, all the stuff he's used as reference before, kind of stays in your brain, right? But it's not inherent. When you're growing up as a kid, you're not observing things, you're glancing at them, and they don't stay in there. They don't stay in there like crystal clear, perfect. Like, I know what a lemon should look like, you know, I know what a basketball should look like. But when you draw it, you miss the details, so grab some reference. You might miss things like the texture, you might miss things like, oh, I never knew it had this thing in it until I've actually looked at it, you know. And when you're walking past things in the street, you glance at them, but if you were to stop and look at it for 5 minutes, you would see so much more, right? It's a bit like when you point a camera to the sky overnight and, you know, let the light exposure come in. It's going to pick up way more light. Okay, so you can see trying so many different things with shape here and things like that, and eventually they'll do a draw over where it's close to the final shape, and a lot of things getting changed and so on, and eventually they'll get to colour. They do this amazing line work. You know, you get two different line thicknesses here as well. The thicker line seems to have a bit more variation to it, and then the thin line's kind of consistent. And then they block in the colours, right? Block in colours, that gives you your areas, and you can easily select those and then do some shade over in a different layer, some noise and things, and eventually build that up. Right, so things just don't start as a sketch, and this is one thing I'm going to point out for the next episode is the marketplace, and I'm going to click on latest just to show you the kind of things that are in here. Now, the marketplace should be for learning, but also things that can be used for a game or an environment, or, you know, maybe your own work, but particularly learning, right? It's educational type stuff. Like, I picked up a really good tutorial of how to do hair, and it kind of made me think about, okay, I want to do my own process for making hair. I don't want to just copy someone else's method because they're comfortable with it, but I was kind of like, I could probably do it a different way, and I've developed my own way from that. This here makes no sense. This makes no sense for any kind of thing, and I'm really curious to see if that's what they're posting. They're just posting stuff. Nothing in the folio. Obviously, just a store test, but actually selling this, and yeah, I'd be so curious to see if there's ever been a sale on these things, but I really think Artstation needs a filter process for the marketplace. This is kind of like a little bit annoying for people that are looking to make money. They've dedicated time, a lot of time, giving you the knowledge and the tools to make something really high end. You know, maybe like a video as well. You know, and you can even get some free stuff. You know, here we go. This one's leading you to a video of how they made it, and you could then support them by buying that. So that's this week's little feedback thing about Artstation, and spend more time on your work. Submit things after 10 hours at least. Don't do 5 minutes, don't do an hour, and don't just submit a sketch of something because it's not finished. It's a work in progress. You're closing the case if you don't say that it's a work in progress as well. So make sure if you do post something that's a sketch or something, say that it's a sketch, say that the next one's coming, and then make it as part of a breakdown. So add in, so when you upload something, you do new artwork, right? And you upload an image, and you can then bring in more images later, and you can say that this is the first sketch of something, and then bring in the next one, the next one, the next one, until you get to the finished piece. People love to see the whole breakdown of how you work, and that you've spent a long time in making it. The more time you spend on it, obviously there's more ability to then add detail and texture and kind of lighting and fog and effects and environment and all these things that marry things up. So don't just upload image and just go, right, I'm going to upload that little doodle that I made. Let's see, I'm going to upload this, right? And say 14 years to make. Where did I save it to? Art, right. Digital 2D, and it'll be characters, and I used Photoshop. Tags, I'm just going to call it sketch. Okay, let's put it in sketch work, and I'm going to publish it, right? Simple as that, right? That's how easy it is to post in Artstation. No one's going to say, what's this? No one's going to say, who cares that this took 14 years? No one's going to say anything like that, right? But so back to Artstation, go back to latest, and boom, there it is, right? And people are going to be curious at like 14 years long-term sketch. After 14 years making art, I made a sketch in about 20 seconds, right? Okay, so it took 20 seconds to make, but it took 14 years to get to this stage, right? And his arm does look a bit phallic there, now that I look at it. But this is the point. You don't want to look like an idiot, you know, posting this stuff. Nobody's going to really care. You're only doing it for yourself. You're doing it to feel good inside the Artstation environment, right? It's not a finished piece. You know, if I'm spending 20 seconds on it, here I've already got someone liking it because they get it, right? They get that it takes 14 years to make this kind of thing. So people will get it. I will get likes for it, and I'm curious to see how many likes I get for a silly sketch compared to my other stuff, and I might be shocked and stunned, but I'll show you that next week. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to like and subscribe my channel, I do loads of different things for Unity and Unreal, making assets, marketplace stuff, and I do these art stations kind of like periodically. I try and do them every week, but sometimes every other week. Next week I'll be talking a bit more about the marketplace and getting set up to sell your assets. So thanks for watching. Bye now.